everybody, welcome back to Elizabeth Elaborates. I'm Elizabeth, and today I'm doing the May reading recap, almost said June. I am very behind on this. I did have a good month for reading, but it's just been so long since I've read these books, so hopefully I'll probably edit it out, but I know I'm going to sit here for like 5 minutes in between every book trying to remember what it was about because my brain. But I do know the first thing I read in May was Whalefall by Elizabeth O'Connor. Now, this book was fabulous. Honestly, one of the best books I've read in a long time. Like, not even just this year. And I've recommended it to people already, and I will continue to do so because it's beautiful. Like, when people say, the writing is like prose. I never really say that about books, but this one is just a joy to read. And it has a lot of depth to it, which I appreciate. It's not the most extravagant, like flamboyant type of plot that like I feel modern authors tend to write that way, where they think they're going to get you on the story, where I really want to be like sucked into the emotion and the depth and the characters and make the story believable. So this book was doing all of that. And the main character, Manod, I think, she is grieving still the loss of her mother, and it's just part of her daily life. So it's like that kind of seeps through every interaction, every relationship, all her thought processes, and you can see that throughout the book without it being this tragic thing that like her mom died and then like the author's like supposed to make you feel bad about that. I feel like modern authors do that, where they like drop the bomb of something big and they're like, don't you feel bad for her now? Rather than like weave it into the story in a way that you realize like, wow, this is important. This is significant in her life. So shout out to Elizabeth O'Connor because she does that so well. But the older sister is also raising the younger sister. And the whole idea is that they live on this like kind of far away island that's kind of uninfluenced by what? Modernity, I believe is the word that I was trying to say. Modern things. They're traditional, okay? And these ethnographers come to this island, this town, to Manod's family, and they want her to be the translator because she does speak English and she does speak their native language. And then she has this weird thing happen where like her people kind of start rejecting her because of her association with the ethnographers, and they're like, we don't need any of that in our life. Stop talking to those people. But then she's like, no, we could like put ourselves on the map. This could be important. This could be cool. Like, these women are getting educated. These women work hard. And she has just adopted this idea that she has to be like wife, mother, stay at home forever. And her town is like tiny and there's not even enough men for everyone to get married. So she's kind of sees this like dead end situation at her current town, I guess, her current community. Like the whole island is like one community. And it's kind of this like shining light on the horizon that these people from the faraway land come. You know, it's like whatever, London or something, I forget. And she kind of has to wrestle with that because she wants to represent her people well, but then she kind of is learning all these things that are kind of seen as traditional or naive or funny to the people that are trying to represent her. So she has this weird struggle with like, how do I represent my people well, but like, do I want to be these other people? Do I want to just adopt their lifestyle? Do I want to just leave the island? Or do I love this and now I see this other side is like not what I thought it was? So boom, so much going on there. I actually really would want to reread it a lot slower, where I can pick apart the words and the themes and the ideas, having now an understanding of where things go. It would just be so fun. Wild Dark Shore by Charlotte McConaughey. Now, I've read Once There Were Wolves by Charlotte McConaughey, and I really enjoyed that book. It was one of like my favorite ecological type of books, and it reminded me of Damnation Spring, which is really one of my favorite ecological books. And I liked how in Once There Were Wolves, because this is my critique with a lot of things that are about the environment or political or modern settings. Again, they just like slap you across the face with these like heavy hitting things, and not so much in Once There Were Wolves. Yes, so much in Wild Dark Shore. First of all, I don't like the relationship in Wild Dark Shore. This girl is on a hunt for her husband, can't find him for like 1 month, and now she's sleeping with the only guy on this island. Okay, a little crazy. Like, if you love him so much that you like washed up on shore on this island, like almost risk your life. You did risk your life. You almost died trying to find your husband. Why are you just gonna sleep with the one man that you encounter on the way? Questionable. Then that man that she's sleeping with, they like hate each other. First of all, there's no good dialogue between them. You're like, do they even like each other? Are they friends? They're just using each other. And that man I despise as well. He's lonely, and he's not nice, and he's just like way too horny, and he has these crazy dreams about his dead wife. And you can see where that goes. But you get this feeling that like, okay, he's not over his wife being dead, obviously. If he's dreaming about her and like things are getting weird and she's some like phantom ghost that you start questioning, like, is this a real person? I actually first thought when what's her name? When Rowan washed ashore, I thought that this was his ghost dream wife reincarnated, and that this book was going to be a massive hallucination. That's what I thought was happening, and it was not happening, thankfully. But that's weird enough. So that's how kind of crazy this man seems to me, and I'm like, he's alone on this island with his kids. I feel bad for his kids. They're probably not getting a good education. They have no idea what's going on in the real world. And the whole point is that they're protecting seeds, because in case the world dies, we need to have a seed bank to repopulate the earth with plants. So kind of this like cool end of the world crisis, like ecological crisis theme. Nice. And the setting is beautiful. Like this island, the descriptions of the island and nature are beautiful. The youngest child, which I don't like when books are separated into POVs anymore. I just need to fully stop reading them. But the youngest child's POV I hate. He just is like a nature documentary. Like you flip the page, it's his chapter, and he's like, the green leaf has access to sunlight, and the sunlight transpires into water, and when the water arises, I'm like, stop. Like, I could literally rip that page out. I like learning about the plants, the botany and stuff, but like, in the theme of the story, I don't need you, and you're just wasting time. So, didn't enjoy that, kid. Then the daughter has this weird, like, spoiler alert. Okay, like, genuinely spoiler. Leave if you don't want to hear this. She has a weird age gap relationship with Rowan's husband, who she was trying to seek and find, and like ended up sleeping with this girl's dad. So now Rowan's sleeping with this girl's dad. She's like, oh, should I be their mom? I don't want to be their mom. Meanwhile, that girl was dating her husband. And that guy's alive. He's in a locked room, and they're all trying to hide this secret. And so they open the door, and she goes, oh, he's sitting on a cot in the corner. My jaw was on the floor. Like, my jaw was on the floor multiple times over, because, again, she's hitting you with this plot that's, like, crazy thing after crazy thing for no reason. Like, it's just insane. I didn't expect it to happen. I was kind of, like, intrigued at that point. But so many strange things at one time where it just makes me be like, why are we writing this? And I remember thinking in Once There Were Wolves that she doesn't write good relationships and doesn't write, like, believable characters to me. That continued into this story. I was just like, they don't even like each other. This isn't how real life works. And again, books don't need to be like real life, but you're gonna lose me. These thought processes are not fleshed out. Things change in a blink of an eye, in a snap, and you just kind of gotta go along for the ride and just trust that, like, it'll all come around, because there's no logical way you're gonna follow this story. It's just how it is. Once again, I'm hating. I love to critique these books because I'm a critic, but it really wasn't that bad. Like, if you want to read it and it sounds interesting, go ahead. I gave it 3 stars. It's mid. And I said that, like, in a book club. I read it with one of my friends, and I was like, I had medium hopes for this, and medium book was delivered. Like, it's neither here nor there. Leaf by Niggle, J.R.R. Tolkien. Tolkien, if you are an educated person. I mentioned Tolkien in a conversation with a man, and instead of hearing what I had to say, he said, "Wow, what? Tolkien? I've never heard anyone say it like that." And I said, "Well, you must not have a lot of conversations then about books or Tolkien, because I hear it both ways, so whatever." Anyway, unrated. This book is strange, and I think it would make a great little animated movie. I'm kind of obsessed with these strange animated things from like the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s. 80s. We'll end in the 80s. I watched this one. I can't remember what it's called, but it's about this couple slowly dying from radiation poisoning in World War II or the Cold War or something. I forget. Craziness. And it's just like this little animated cute movie about them like building a bunker, and then they're like, "Oh no, we got hit by a bomb, we have to hide." And they hide in their little thing that they built in their stairwell, which is not going to save you from radiation poisoning, and then they slowly die. So, interesting animations from the past days. This, I feel, would be another one of those. It's just this like little cutesy story that makes you think about how you spend your time, what you prioritize, is perfection attainable. It's really just one big allegory to make you think. The whole idea is like, this guy's trying to paint his tree, his masterpiece, the point of his life. He keeps getting distracted by other things, and then, I don't want to spoil it, but like, what's it worth in the end type of thing, and like the value of the process versus the value of the product. And so you can be like, what's your tree? What's your painting? What's your masterpiece that you're crafting? And what's it worth in the end? Like, is it the journey or the destination? And then, can both those things be true at the same time? Can it be better than you ever imagined at the end? So, yeah, I'm not even going to pretend like I thought enough about this book. I feel like you should read it and you should think about it and go for it. But it's kind of also the reflection of like him writing the Lord of the Rings, like putting all his effort into the Lord of the Rings, and that's partly why I read it, because I was like, I love the author of the Lord of the Rings, blah, blah, blah. Let's learn some other things about his life and see kind of what context he was existing in, you know? Sea of Tranquility by Emily St. John Mandel. I love this book. I love this book. I love this book. And I've never, ever, well, I read 100 pages of Dune. I've never read sci-fi. And I liked it. This is the thing. I was a little confused because I've never ventured into the world of sci-fi. I didn't know how to put my sci-fi thinking cap on. So I wonder if my blindness added to my experience. You know what I mean? And you need to get a little rolling start on this one. It goes a little slow at the beginning, but the momentum builds. And once you get to something that you connect with, or a character that you like, or a setting, like, you just gotta get comfortable in the book, and then it really gets going. So then you're jumping around all different time zones, different planets, different people, and I was very late to putting all those pieces together. But when they clicked, my mind was blown. Like, so freaking good. And I almost give it 5 stars. Like, again, 5 stars is not even real to me. Like, there's nothing objective about me giving 5 stars to a book. It's very subjective. It gives me this feeling that I'm like, this is a 5-star book. So I give it like 4.8. Because it just didn't have that like transcendent ha-ness. But it did have a lot of ha to it. So, similar to the feeling I get when I see a cell phone in a movie is how I feel when I read about pandemics in books. just irks me. I did have to get over that a little bit with this book because the pandemic is a huge theme. And it's not COVID, but it's COVID. Like, get with the program here. One thing, this is why I've never read sci-fi, because I don't believe in time travel. And my contingency with time travel is that it necessitates time remaining in existence. And I don't feel that that's possible. What I mean by that is time has to be linear in order for time travel to exist, and that time in the past has to still somehow exist. And it's almost like synesthesia to me, where like you hear music and you see colors, or like certain things are associated with other things, but like I think of time as a sphere, and I always have thought of time as a sphere. It's not linear to me. There's no way. It just is, and we're all in this like time is happening now thing. So I feel like we're very much in the present, very much all held together at one time. But in order to time travel, there has to be something that like you can access, and I just don't believe that there's this like trail that we're leaving behind that we could somehow go back to. Do you get what I'm saying? So that was kind of my first thing, is like you're kind of like speaking to a hater when you're trying to get me to read about time travel. And I've never, aside from coming to that conclusion about time not being linear, I haven't put much thought into time travel because I just can't get past that fact. I'm like, there's no way. Let alone the reorganization of molecules in like, it just like molecules and substance and matter I don't even think are associated with time. So there's so much that doesn't make sense to me. And I know like the event horizon, like you can warp time, because if you stand on the event horizon, like somebody can die but you still see them because time is like warped at the end of that. It's a black hole or whatever. So that's interesting, but I don't feel like that space and that scenario is replicated at all times in a way that you could exist in that, Anyway, aside from that, I enjoyed the older history side of this, like the 19 whatever sections of this, more than I like the current stuff, because again, pandemic, I just don't like reading about pandemics. I think it's kind of like a cheap idea because we lived in that so long that it's no longer interesting to read about. And I feel like most of those thought processes and worst case scenarios were explored by most people just living in fear at that time. I don't feel like it's this far off, like, what if something happens? I feel like we can all imagine what happens now. It's a little repetitive, I feel. Like, it could have moved a little faster, and maybe I'm dumb, but, like, it could have dropped a few more hints for me. But, again, maybe that's just because I don't, like, read sci-fi or, like, think about time travel. It's just, like, not something that would occur to me as possible. I didn't expect time to collide the way it would. And somebody wants to go back and change time, essentially. So, Back to the Future. And it basically is that, where this guy is on his mission to go back in the past, and, like, he's a journalist, so he's just gathering information. They go, don't change anything. Don't do anything differently. No hints that you're time travel, which feels obvious. But then he's like, oh, let me just do one thing. That's it. Just like one little thing. And then boom, 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 boom. Everything changes. So it's good. Like, he did the moral thing. But the whole point of being a time travel journalist person is that, like, you can't have morals. Like, you just gotta be ruthless. Figure out and solve your mystery. But you can't change anything. You can't save people's lives. You can't do anything like that. So, like, Time Turner and Harry Potter, Back to the Future type of deal. And then you get to the end and you realize, whoa, all of this happened because of that. I'm being vague here, I'm sorry. But some things I just don't want to spoil. Overall, I really did like this book. I have a few things I would change. One of them being when you write somebody from let's say 1912 and somebody from like 50,012, like way in the future, one would expect their vernacular to change, but they don't. She just writes like everybody talks the same. So that was a little redundant. And that was just one little thing that if you had changed it or made, you could make like cool inside jokes and cool vocab words that, you can just explain and have a reason for. But I felt like a missed opportunity there. And then the other thing is, again, I don't know how other sci-fi books are, but it kind of took 70% of normal Earth life and added in the futuristic elements. So it almost is this lit fic type of futurism. Is futurism a word? I don't know. Where I thought, like, if you're going to create a whole new world, you'd create a whole new world. Like everything. You're not like, I'm on a book tour because I'm an author on the moon planet. It just was like, they have that still. Like, wouldn't we just all get, like, AI zapped into our brains and we know stuff? So some of it was kind of like, oh, well, why are we doing everything the same if we can just live on the moon? So maybe a little bit lazy writing or lazy world building on her part. But I was ultimately unbothered by that stuff because I was just so excited. I was like a kid in a candy store. I was like, very excited to read this and see all these new things I haven't thought about. So, would recommend When the Cranes Fly South by Lisa Ridson. I'm not sure if I pronounced that person's name right, but I talked about this in one of my pipe videos because I read this book because I'm struggling to help care for my grandma and be very gracious towards her and make the aging process as painless as possible because I'm young and spry and logical, and there's a dichotomy when the two of us are in a room. I felt like reading this old dying man's perspective would help me see the thought processes of an elderly person at the end of their life who feels like things are getting taken away from them. And it absolutely did. It served its purpose so well. I felt like I was learning so much. I fully understood like how it feels, why people think these things, and like what the son is doing wrong and caring for his grandpa. And I was like, or his dad. And I'm like, what am I doing wrong? How can I improve? So I was like such an active, like eating this up, learning from it. Then I read reviews of this book about half-ish way, maybe a little less than halfway. And everybody was just hating on this book. Like, it's so depressing. It's so sad. Nothing happens. It just is a slow unraveling until the end. It never gets better. You will leave this book worse than you started. And then I hated this book because everything that they said was true. But the big difference here is my perspective as a reader, because I read this like a textbook. I studied this. I broke it down. I unraveled the characters' thought processes to see like what's actually happening here. And it was such a fruitful reading experience. When I changed my perspective and I looked at this as, do I enjoy this book? Is it serving me? Is it making me happy? Then I didn't like it. So I'm completely torn because the two ends of the spectrum is like 1 star and 5 star. Like, it's both and, because it's truly your perspective. I think like if you need this book, if your soul or your heart or your life relates to this and it needs this book, it's gonna find a home in your heart, If you don't need this book and you just want to be entertained and have more frivolous things in your life, it's not gonna serve you well. And I really think this is why you can have so many crazy different reviews online, or talk to a friend and they have a completely different perspective than you, because your lived experience does impact how you read a book. Like, as much as you want to think that what's on paper is what's there, it really has to go through the filter of your mind and your soul and your heart and like your own lived experience. That substance, whatever's left after that filter, that's like your opinion of the book. That's so different for every single person. The writing of this book is kind of gross. It does not leave anything to the imagination. It is relentless in how it portrays this guy's life. I think there's a certain type of person who would be drawn to this book, and if you're feeling like that might be something for you, read it. I think you will really enjoy it. If you're just scrolling through popular books or new books or whatever list online, you just randomly click this one, I don't think you're going to like it. Okay, I probably switched camera angles. I'm sorry, my thing fell over. But that was all the books I read. In May, I have 2 crossover books that will take me several months, so I guess I'll just tell you The Origin of Species by Charles Darwin and The Return of the King by J.R.R. Tolkien, whatever. Those books, both of them, they're going to take me like 3 months to get through, so prepare to be sick of me saying that. But I had a very productive reading month. I really feel like May was maybe the best month so far of reading. I got a few things off my TBR. I started doing a book club with my friends, so now we're working on a book for June. And yeah, so many good things happened, so many good books. So I'm hoping you enjoyed the video. I'll see you in the next one. Hopefully I'll be a little more on time with my book review. And make sure you like and subscribe. Bye.